Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? Sometimes you need to let loose, grab juice, get goose, tattoos, taboos, get screwed. Loosen up, buttercup, all those hate comments will never make you feel enough. We're all adequate graduates, heart full of calluses, but we know calculus. Damn, ain't that fabulous? Can't wait to apply all those mathematicus. But we can't get a job that pays us enough. I'm about to pop off. Fuck you, you're lost. We all know that we never really want a boss. So I'ma do what I want to, something I can't undo. Yeah, I'ma do what I want to, something I can't undo. I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me?
How did we get here? How did we get here? What in the Alice in Wonderland nightmares is going on right now? All I can say is how fucking dare you?
If you voted for that man, if you voted for anybody other than Kamala and you live in one of the states that it was, close, or if you didn't vote, fuck you.
Senate race. It's not going to happen. Republican Kevin
Go Kamala.
will be returning to the Senate from North Dakota.
I chose family, I chose women, I chose America. I love you.
How the fuck is this still happening? All I've ever known politically is hatred.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done with you and your mother and your sister. I'm just done with all of this.
I'm sorry to all my friends who are Trump supporters. But y'all don't understand how scared of this man I am. If this guy does end up winning again, all of the people who voted for him will be like happy and they'll just be celebrating. And everyone else, everyone who feels threatened by him is fucking scared. Like we're scared for our lives. We're scared for our friends. How dare you put this man into office for another 4 years, knowing damn well what it means for our country, what it means for us as a people. To know that there is that much ignorance and that much hate in this country, it's so terrifying. It's so terrifying.
How the fuck are we back in this same situation again? Who the fuck is voting for him? Genuinely.
Fuck you. I don't want to hear about how shitty your life gets under his policies. Live with that decision. Sit with it. let it make you uncomfortable. Fuck you. If you voted for anybody other than Kamala, you
voted for him will be like happy and he'll just be
put this man into office for another 4 years, knowing damn well what it means for our country.
We're scared for our lives, we're scared for our friends.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Oh dear, good evening.
Good evening. I can't resist reusing that.
We've had a bit of a week of it, so yeah. Oh, it's always funny. To be honest, I've heard it before, so I just have to listen to it with the sound off and just laugh at them screaming hysterically into the vapor. It's like them screaming in a vacuum. If you don't have the sound on, it is literally like they're all just screaming into the void. Yeah, but it's satisfying.
It is worth listening to it as well, because that is quite funny. Anyway, good evening to you, Ed. How are you today? Thank God it's Friday, yeah?
Oh, thank God it's the end of January as well. It's like happy last day in January, people.
Well, that's just Ed's acoustics, John. I don't know. There's nothing I can do about that. He lives in a large, an extensive flat. What you see behind him isn't really the size of it.
It's bigger. An extensive flat at all. I don't know what's the problem. Look, let's complain about the sound. If I'm too irritating to listen to, I'm more than happy to fuck off and go and watch some television.
No, you stay, Ed. Don't you listen to these nasty people, especially that terrible Johnny John chap who keeps complaining about your orangeness. So good evening, Julie, Nectaridis, Johnny and John, Beats and Tapes, Ray. Who else we got? We had Brett Mate, and possibly. Have we got Adam? Is Adam there? I don't know. Or Dread Eye, or whatever he wants to be called. But hey, right, okay, let's crack on. Thank you, Brett Mate. Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it. Always take a compliment where it's given. Right. Let's start with the news of the week. Here we go. Here we bloody go.
Oh, fuck's sake. Literally, we say this every single week, and every single week it seems like we've had an escalation in the crazy batshitness.
So we'll start with this tweet from our very own Ed.
Kit, by the way.
Sorry?
Kit. The Russian word is kit in English.
Okay. So look, Kit, the whale does have flatulence problems, but that doesn't mean the Royal Navy wasn't 30 seconds away from a shitstorm. Anyway, it was only a training exercise. So this is in relation to the Royal Navy, our Royal Navy, who let's face it, don't have enough sailors to man all the ships we've got. I've had to mothball some of them.
We had two failed tests of Trident, one of which nearly blew up the bloody submarine that fired it.
And we don't have enough planes to to equip the aircraft carriers with full loads. Mm-hmm. In fact, off the planes we do have, the Navy shared them with the RAF. How the fuck that's going to work in a war? It beggars belief, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, just take turns.
Yeah, but how do you know where you need your planes? Do you need them on the aircraft carrier, or do you need them on on land? Yeah,
you need them on television to show everyone how important and like powerful we are. The whole thing's a joke. I mean, literally, Ukraine has lost more troops in the last 3 months than exist in the entire British Army and Navy.
Yeah, okay, I should be laughing because that is a shame.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is that the vaunted British military is laughable. Mm-hmm. And then we have these warmongering politicians that go around the world beating war drums and trying to say, "Oh yeah, we'll send peacekeepers to Ukraine," and all this nonsense. Yeah. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. We're just a third-rate power trying to pretend like it's still got frickin' empire, and we don't. And we're basically just I saw it today. Dickens. He called it telescopic generosity or something. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember it straight off the top of my head. Telescopic something. No, telescopic philanthropy. This idea that the people at home are suffering. I mean, we've got a government that's sending millions and millions of pounds abroad and cutting services at home and cutting winter fuel payments for pensioners. And meanwhile, we're paying for bloody DEI lesbian programs in Africa and stupid shit like that. That's what Trump's done.
So anyway, yeah.
I mean,
so,
the next one of the pieces of news. Anyway, that's my little rant over.
So now that you've finished ranting, can we get back to the point at hand? In which case, the Royal Navy, our feared Royal Navy, which once was, and it truly was, the masters of the deep blue sea, anywhere in the world really. At one point, we were the global power, but our Royal Navy now detected strange noises, suspicious pings that they believed were Russian drones targeting UK nuclear subs, but it was really a farting whale. And that kind of that sums up January 2025, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, it sums up so many different things that I don't even know where to start. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's comical.
Yeah.
It's not. We're not even a serious country anymore, frankly. And I mean, the fact that sonar on modern submarines is supposed to be really sensitive, connected to the computers, and you would think they'd be able to tell the difference between a whale fart and a Russian sonar, but it also shows you how ridiculously paranoid our whole establishment is, because they're basically they've been poking the bear so much they're terrified that the bear is going to turn around and bite their face off, and they're going to still poke it anyway because they think that the big American eagle is going to swoop in and fucking save us. Yeah,
well, the big American eagle's having problems of its own, and actually this was my tweet this morning, which was. This article appeared on the BBC News all about the crash that we discussed last night. And there was a lot of speculation as to who the pilot, the second pilot or first pilot, or shall we just say the unnamed pilot is, which appears to be unfounded at the moment because the initial identification, I think, has been proven false. But it still doesn't explain why only 2 of the helicopter crew have been named. So if you're going to name the helicopter crew, fair enough. Or if you're not going to name them, in respect for families or whatever, fair enough. But why have they only named 2? They haven't even mentioned that there's a second pilot in this article. Well, there's 2 pilots and a crew chief. And we've got Ryan O'Hara here as a crew chief, and we've got Andrew Eaves, who's the pilot, or one of the pilots. So who was the other pilot?
Absolutely. And I mean, I saw a story this morning that the divers who went down to the helicopter, or the wreckage of the helicopter, said that there were no viable bodies to retrieve. Basically.
So it must have.
I don't know what the word viable means in terms of human remains. Whether there's not enough left, or it was just an arm and a leg, or
right, okay.
Whether they were, I don't know. I mean, what the hell does viable mean in relation to survivors or victims of a helicopter crash? But it's and then there was this speculation about a particular person who is
that's what I was alluding to earlier, and that's found to be false. But we still don't know who the third person is, which is strange.
Very strange.
More footage has come out from different angles, and more analysis has come forward, especially from that chap. Is it McKern or something? Who was a Black Hawk helicopter crew chief, And he kind of backing up what we were saying last night. You know, there's a good chance the helicopter never saw the plane. And before anyone goes, oh, but look at it, it flew straight into the plane. You need to watch last night's show as to why it flew straight into the plane, because there's damn good chance those people in the helicopter never saw that plane. Yeah.
Well, from what the crew chief guy was saying is that they had just finished a refueling stop, and that meant that they had a specific checklist. So the co-pilot was going through the checklist, which is on his leg. So he was looking down. The pilot was most likely looking at fuel gauges and altimeters and all this kind of stuff. So they weren't looking out. And actually, it's the crew chief's, one of the crew chief's responsibilities on the Black Hawk is to be the eyes and ears, and they're looking out and round and everything else. But sometimes the crew chief has to back up what the pilots are doing and check fuel gauges and that kind of thing. Yep. And the way that the guy explained it was it is entirely possible that they did not see that aircraft, especially given how busy the airspace is. And at the same time, that doesn't rule out the big question that you just mentioned, is why the hell only released 2 out of the 3 names of the crew on the...
So Ray says at the request of the family, the name of the third soldier will not be released at this time. That sounds weird, because serving military soldier dies in accident. Normally, everybody gets named. That's just bizarre.
Yeah. I mean,
once a family's been told, there should be no barrier to releasing his name, because it's going to be a matter of public record who was flying that helicopter.
Sure.
At some point.
Well, I guess maybe we'll find out as and when the name is released. We'll have a better understanding maybe of why it wasn't released.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a family member that they're struggling to contact or something like that. Who knows? I can think of a few different reasons. So we don't necessarily need to jump straight down a rabbit hole.
No, we don't.
But it is strange. And we're allowed to point out things that don't make sense.
So let's move on to our next item, which is GB News has apparently uncovered a Home Office Muslim network. They say there's a massive scandal brewing. Patrick Christie's has dropped a bombshell. Over 700 civil servants inside the Home Office are allegedly signed up to promote Muslim interests within government operations. Now, if this is true, then they shouldn't really be doing this in any form, because there's supposed to be a separation of church and state, isn't there? So even if it was promoting Christian interests within the Home Office, they shouldn't be doing it. So there's no reason for them to be doing it for Muslim interests, is there?
I agree with you. I don't think that government is the place for any of these sorts of things, but that also extends to conservative Labour and Liberal Democrat Friends of Israel.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Actually, when we're talking about foreign influence in our government, I would suggest that the influence that Israel and its interests have over our government is actually greater than the Muslim scare, frankly. And that's borne out by what happened with Keir Starmer and his leadership contest in the Labour Party. It's borne out by 30 or 40 years of British policy. It's borne out by the fact that our government is actively supporting genocide. I agree with you. I don't think that there's any place for the people running the country should be running the country in the best interest of the people of the country.
Exactly.
Every single religious group, even the marginalized people like the travelers and all of these sorts of people, everybody should be considered at least. And the government and the civil servants should be without fear or favor. And as soon as one of these groups comes out, start sacking people.
Yeah, and this is the problem, because the government doesn't operate without fear or favour. And as we've seen recently, and this might actually lead me now to being classified as a terrorist, I'm going to say the police no longer operate without fear or favour either, which is a shocking thing for me to contemplate. Because when I joined the police, you took an oath. You took an oath to uphold the law and to apply that law without fear or favour. And I don't know if they still do that. I really don't, because it appears that they certainly don't act on it.
Well, if they are, they're not taking it seriously.
Yeah, and as I said, what I've just said could actually get me classified, I think, in today's UK as a potential, enemy of the state.
John, if we're not already enemies of the state, I'd be really disappointed. You know what I mean? I expect at least one MI5 agent to be watching this broadcast, frankly. Otherwise,
I do love a bit of...
I just feel like we need to up our game.
Yeah, I do love a bit of hate watch.
But honestly, it's just... It's like...
Is Johnny and John MI5, though? Because I have my suspicion about him.
No.
Are you sure, though? He could be under deep cover.
If he is, then MI5 really just... I was going to say,
don't say it.
They really don't pay their staff.
Oh, don't say it. That's a shame. Right. Okay, let's move on. Right. So apparently, Bill Gates was caught. I don't know if you can say this word. You can say it on Twitter, but I don't know if you can say it on YouTube. Shall we just say he was called slightly learning disadvantaged? How does that sound? He was learning disadvantaged at the age of 9 and told to stay back a year in class. Reveals the astonishing new memoir by one of the world's richest and most successful tech pioneers. Well, one of the world's richest and most successful tech thieves, I would say.
It's common knowledge that he didn't.
He didn't write BASIC.
He didn't. Well, it's
hey, sorry, DOS. I'm not. My mistake.
He made his money.
He stole it.
DOS he didn't steal it. He bought it.
No, he didn't. He stole it. I'm pretty sure he stole it. I think he may have adjusted the history, but I'm pretty sure he acquired it.
Well, I think he paid money for it. That's the thing. I'm not necessarily sure he bought it honestly, or necessarily told people what he was doing. But it was his mother was on the board of directors of IBM. Yeah. And she basically strong-armed IBM into giving him his first leg up. So he didn't. This man is not someone that anybody should be listening to.
No, he's not.
Honestly.
Now, here's a good point that's come up in the chat here. Britmate says, "Ask Grok." Right now, I would caution asking Grok anything, Britmate, because I'm finding that Grok's not terribly accurate. There are much better AIs out there when it comes to getting genuine answers. You've got to be very careful with Grok. I've caught Grok out quite a few times recently. So
Grok
be careful.
Yeah, but one has to be very careful of AI systems.
Oh, yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
And that accounts for all of them. Even DeepSeek, which is probably another of the slides for this week, or at least it's certainly a piece of news from the week, is the new Chinese AI that managed to crash the NASDAQ. Well, they wiped something like 500 billion off the value of Nvidia in the space of 24 hours.
Well, did Nvidia not do that themselves, though?
Well,
by bumming up their technology, and then suddenly China releases this that did better than OpenAI with much less equipment and much less expenditure.
Sure, absolutely, but it's a classic example of both Western arrogance and underestimating the competition. Yeah, particularly when it comes to competition like China and Russia. I saw an interview with Altman, the head of OpenAI, and he flatly, arrogantly said to a reporter, "Oh, don't even bother trying to compete with us because we're so far ahead that there's no point." And it's that utter arrogance that, to me, it'll be our undoing. It really will.
It will, indeed. Right, moving on. Keir Starmer and the government are apparently looking into the idea of requiring anyone who streams Netflix or Disney Plus to pay the BBC licence fee. So this is just an attempt to get people to continue paying the licence fee. My
opinion of the BBC is so low that they'd actually have to work very hard to disappoint me. I mean, and as for the government forcing people to pay for something they don't want to pay or watch, I mean, that's like forcing people to pay for their own propaganda.
Yeah,
it's literally paying for your own censorship and your own. I mean, it's absurd. The whole thing is an absolute absurdity. But the problem is that if they decide to do this, they can essentially force Netflix and people like that to divulge IP addresses, and then they'll be able to nail people with fines just based on the fact that particular services are being accessed from a particular geographic location. Although
that gets tricky when, and they've tried this before when it comes to like downloading, illicit software and things like that, because if you've got Wi-Fi, then the big out is somebody hacked your Wi-Fi and did it. And it's very hard to not prove they didn't.
Yeah.
For sure. The other thing is, this is kind of what France does. So France doesn't have a TV license, but it has a media license. And effectively, if you have broadband, you have to pay a media license for the pleasure of being able to purchase broadband. And that's kind of the route they're going. That's what they're kind of looking at here, aren't they?
It wouldn't surprise me, because more and more people are forsaking the bloody propaganda license.
Yep.
And I mean, the thing about the BBC that's astounding is they rake in over £3 billion a year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not enough. I mean, and also, if they're so good, if they're such a national treasure, then why can't their programming stand up against the other streaming services? I mean, why shouldn't people pay $5.99 or something for BBC services and just do it like that?
Well, yeah, if their programming was good enough, people would pay for it, wouldn't they?
Exactly, but it's not. Most of it's absolute rubbish. All of the good BBC stuff is at least 20 or 30 years old.
Yeah, and we're not getting good stuff anymore at all.
You don't get value for money at all.
You don't.
And then when you put the news on, they're basically just spouting government nonsense at you all the time.
News is just propaganda.
Ukraine, they lied about COVID. There's nothing the whole thing is just nonsense.
It's just propaganda now, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. I just can't. I don't, because I'll start ranting again.
Yeah, don't start ranting. It's too early. Next. Right, these little gems are always quite interesting, they always come up round about Holocaust anniversaries and things like that. Man who claimed to have escaped Auschwitz admitted he lied for years, and people do this, and this is I've noticed this in particular, and as I've been digging into the UFO community, because people do a lot of lying, they do a lot of embellishment. They like to big themselves up. They like to make themselves feel more important than they really are. And, I think a little lie maybe starts, they maybe told somebody a story, and then it just grows arms and legs. And this chap, a Pennsylvania man who claims for years to have escaped from Auschwitz, he said he met track and field star Jesse Owens and Nazi Dr. Joseph Mengele, confessed on Friday and fabricated the entire story.
Yeah, so why isn't he in jail? Because you can go to jail for questioning the Holocaust.
Well, not only in certain countries. I don't think you can get jailed in America for it.
To be perfectly honest, there is such a lack of freedom of speech when it comes to this particular subject that I'm not even prepared to voice my opinion for fear of getting into trouble.
Well, I can't voice my opinion on this subject because, and regardless, forgetting this subject, right? when you aren't able to, and sorry, I shouldn't have moved on there. When you aren't able to question any historical event, right, then my feeling is something is being hidden. Now, I'm not saying that the historical event didn't occur, but I'm saying something's being hidden when you're not allowed to question said historical events. You know, I mean, it's things like, you know, I don't know what there are other historical events that are kind of barred from talking about as well. Are people just tar you with a conspiracy theory brush? Like, for instance, in thinking of Titanic. You know,
well, I mean, the moon landings.
The moon landings. Yeah, there are plenty, but
this
but you don't
one,
normally go to jail for it. You know,
precisely. And this particular one, and I mean, they're even talking about new laws in the United States to supposedly combat anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
And here's just a little slight tangent. Did you know that all those DNA testing services are banned in Israel? And that there was a report that was done, there was genetic testing of...
Oh, like 23andMe and all that?
Yeah, 23andMe, Ancestry.com, they're all banned in Israel.
Well, you know what? Anyone who has submitted to those testing services is off their freaking trolley. Because before you and I started doing all, and Ben and I went into this, maybe about nearly 3 years ago now, and they're just rubbish. One, they're rubbish, and two, why are they collecting all this DNA? And three, what came to pass happened, and that we said these are going to get hacked at some point, and one of them was, and all the DNA was, you know, acquired by nefarious characters. But apart from that, the ones that get me are when twins put in, you know, DNA results and get back completely different makeup, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of. I mean, we could probably do a whole show on the whole rabbit hole show on DNA, because the whole. I mean, there's all sorts of questions about it and about using it to try and understand humans. So
someone I was banging on about something the other day about investigations and things like that. And someone very patronizingly, I think, said something about, well, we're much better prepared and understand how to investigate crime these days as opposed to how we used to do it. And when I say how we used to do it, we're talking about the 90s, right? Okay, so we're only talking 30 years. So we're much better at investigating crime these days, and our technologies are much more advanced. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is this person talking about? Because they obviously don't have a clue that policing hasn't really changed. And we did have DNA in the 90s, you know?
I think policing has changed recently, certainly.
Oh yeah, recently, but
it's actually
not for the better
from policing. Yeah. They're doing less of what you're talking about and more of the stupid nonsense.
Well, yes, they are. But I'm thinking about it. This person doesn't have a clue about what they're talking about. And the thing that gets me about DNA is it's like fingerprint evidence, and fingerprint evidence get very discredited after a case in Scotland. And I can tell you about this because I was fucking there or thereabouts, right? So someone who, and I think, I don't know if I can't remember if Shirley McKee was a police officer, and she joined my shift at Irvine, and then she moved up to Kilmarnock and moved into the CID, and there was a murder in a house, and her fingerprint was found in the murder scene when there was no record of her having been in the house. Right? And this caused a major, in fact, we should maybe make a rabbit hole about this, because this caused a major fucking upset in Scottish policing. A major upset in world fingerprint recognition. We even had a fingerprint expert from the FBI coming over to defend her, right? I mean, the whole thing, I think we will. I think we'll dig into this because it was a complete and utter disaster. It didn't help that her...
heard of it. I think we should definitely do a show about it.
It didn't help that her dad was a chief superintendent as well. So yeah, because effectively what it did was it broke fingerprinting. Because they claimed that fingerprinting was now fallible because her fingerprint was found in a place where she'd never been, allegedly. I'm not going to say any more at this point because I think I've got to think this one through because I know things, and I personally know things that are at odds with the actual story because I was very much in the police and knew exactly what happened and what went on. But I don't know how far I can go.
Yeah, no, it's something you need to be really careful about. Let's move on to the next slide, and we'll bookmark that one for future.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll come back to that because it was it's interesting, and I think it deserves a show on its own. To be fair, right? Actress Idris Elba. I can't stand this guy. I just cannot stand this guy. Suggests kitchen knives be blunted and other knives be banned. I mean, good grief, man. Good grief. I mean, what?
This is the problem when you start asking an actor for advice about society. I mean, who the hell is this guy to comment on this nonsense anyway?
How did we get here?
What happened there? That was wild.
Did we get hacked?
No, I went to type a message in chat, and obviously I didn't have the chat selected, and it switched it to the intros. So my apologies, people. I need a producer. Yes. So yeah, what I was going to say was thank you, Brit, mate. I'll take that. But apart from that, right, carry on.
I just think it's absurd because you don't sort of solve the problem of stabbings. It's like banning cars because people get run over in accidents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's absurd, and the fact that I mean, it's not just actors say stupid shit, but the fact that this guy is actually being what he's saying is being put out there. It's just absurd, and the thing is that he makes himself look stupid because anyone with half a brain knows he's talking out of his bumhole. Yeah.
I mean, anyone who's actually tried to cut anything knows that you actually do need a point. There's a reason a knife has a point on it.
Well, he's a rich arsehole. He probably has other people. I mean, he probably can't even make himself a cup of tea. So,
yeah.
I mean, let's just move on because I'll just start bouncing.
This is interesting. Right?
Oh, this is a good one.
Right. So, now be careful. Be careful about if what we'll say here. Former senior advisor to Obama has been sentenced to 11.5 years in prison in the UK, right, for the attempted, shall we say, sexual advantage of a 9-year-old girl. So this chap called Rahman Shai, not so shy, travelled to the UK to meet the girl he'd been grooming online. Now, apparently he'd been grooming her with what he thought was her grandmother that turned out to be an undercover police officer. Right? Now, I think this one's weird in that it's very close to entrapment, which isn't a problem in the US, but it's supposed to be here. You've got to be very careful about setting people up in the UK, right? Because the FBI do this all the time in the US. You know, they feed people information and prompt them to go and make, you know, things that go boom and then lock them up for it when they try and actually do it, even though they've more or less given the guy the go-ahead to do it. But you can't really do that in the UK in this case. And this doesn't excuse his behaviour at all. But this case, I don't understand how it's not entrapment, right? Because they've effectively coerced him to come over with a promise of what's going to happen here, right?
Well, yeah.
I'm talking from a legal perspective, not a moral,
But
perspective.
it's also one of the things that I found odd about this story is the distance. Actually, I mean, he packed his suitcases with cuddly toys and condoms. I mean,
it just sounds weird, doesn't it?
It's okay if you're going to do something like that. Wouldn't it? I don't understand why someone would travel to the UK from America to do it.
Why wouldn't he go to Thailand?
Why exactly? Why not go to a country where he's much more likely to get away with it than here? Yeah. And I don't know. This story just has an air of them trying to get rid of someone somehow. I don't know. It's just this has spook shit written all over it.
It does. It has you're getting punished for something. Written over it. I don't know what you think, Yazzie. Yazzie says, was the copper part of the grooming? Coercive control. Done loads of training on this. Fair dues. I think there's more to this than we're ever going to know. But I think this sounds like a punishment for someone.
There's this one. That one is definitely more than meets the eye.
Yeah. Right. Do you remember the the Border Patrol agent who was murdered on the Canadian border? So apparently they've been linked to a radical, I can't say that word, is to do with automatic transmissions, a radical automatic transmission cult. So the mother of Agent David Malland near the Canadian border is now tied to a violent extremist cult accused of multiple killings across Canada and the US. That would tend to indicate some kind of mental illness that these people that are in this cult have maybe got in common. Maybe.
Yeah, but if you see some of the
even in didgeridoo.
Well, some of the I'm trying to pick my words quite carefully, but some of the abuse that gets hurled at people like Kelly J. Keane, for example.
Yeah.
And the way that you see, there's videos of these people in inverted commas all over, and they are angry, disturbed, mentally ill people, a lot of them, because frankly, that whole condition that afflicts them, as it were, or that lifestyle choice that they've made, it's
ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous, Ed, in this day and age, right, in 2025, that we are so limited in what we can say and what's supposed to be a free and open platform that we have to cage every word carefully and gauge every word carefully to ensure that we don't fall foul of some algorithmic censor.
Yeah,
what's going on in this world, really?
Well, it just speaks volumes,
doesn't it?
Where we're at as a species and where we're at as a world, and
doesn't it really?
It really does.
It's quite disappointing, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, that's an understatement. I think it's because at the end of the day, words don't hurt anybody, and I've always thought that if you have to. Truth does to start with. Truth doesn't require a censor to enforce it.
No.
If something is true, it just stands on its own. It doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't need it doesn't need anyone protecting it. It doesn't need anything. It's there. Truth is truth, and it's like you said earlier about historical facts that you're not allowed to question, or supposed settled science that we're not allowed to question. or whatever. And
or historical
ultimately-
events. Yeah,
precisely.
exactly.
And this is not about people not having the freedom to make choices and live their lives the way that they want to. If you want to wear a dress and put a wig on and call yourself Sally, that's fine. But you don't have a right to then decide how other people refer to you or interact with you.
Yeah.
And you definitely don't have a right to join some crazy cult and start murdering people.
Correct. And actually, that reminds me, I don't think I've got a slide, but the chap that quite infamously used to burn the Quran in public in Sweden, born in Iraq, brought up a Catholic, I believe, in Iraq, which has got to be a very interesting upbringing, right? And moved to Sweden because of persecution for his religion. Was continually, some could say, taunting and egging on, people of a certain religion by burning what they term a sacred book. But he was exercising his right to do so, and he continued to do so until on a TikTok live stream, I believe, the other night, his home was invaded and he was shot fatally, which is pretty bad on a live stream.
Well, considering that you and I are both live streaming right now, the thought of someone breaking into the place that you're in,
I know,
suddenly deciding to murder you. I mean, that's horrific. That to me, nobody deserves that.
Yeah.
I do think that if you're going to tickle the balls of a dragon, then it's entirely possible that dragon is going to burn your face off. I mean, especially in Sweden, the thing is that we're not talking about that. Sweden has, for some reason, I mean, they've had like 30 bombings already in January or something.
32.
They have a crazy amount of societal violence going on. So in that sort of situation,
it's not societal violence. It's coming from one particular facet.
I know. I'm trying to.
This
is the whole censorship, trying to be careful what we say.
Yeah, okay.
Thing. I mean, we both know what I'm talking about.
I'm just making sure that the audience knows. But
yeah, no,
sure you're right.
They're not idiots. I mean, I'm sure they know what we're talking about. Honestly, but again, the fact that we have to be so careful about what we say is testament to the stupid world we live in.
Yeah.
And the fact that people are getting shot for burning a book is testament to the stupid world we live in. And the fact that the whole thing is insane. But if you ask me, for someone like him to do what he did, knowing the climate that he exists in, and knowing how much that act is potentially going to piss people off, you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's right. I'm absolutely not saying it's right.
I know.
But I mean, if you want to not get shot on a live stream, then I don't know. And also, just from the point of view of burning a religious book, I'm not religious. Hands up, saying I'm not Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or anything else. I have my own, what I would call, religious views. And my personal view is that it's all about connecting directly with the divine yourself and not relying on some medium or group or cult or whatever. But the fact is that religious texts deserve to be treated with respect, regardless of what they are, regardless of whether I agree with them or not. But also books. My problem is not necessarily, the thing is, it's not just for me. It's not just about, because I love books. I mean, I have a whole massive shelf of books. That one of the things about my renovation that I've really liked is that I've been able to get more of my books out. and I like having them around me, and I would never dream of burning any of them. I mean, to me, burning a book, it doesn't matter whether it's the Quran or whether it's 1984 or whatever book it is. If it's literature,
right. So let's take the book burning as a symbolic gesture more than anything, right? It's not specifically he wants to burn books. He wants to burn that book because he's making a symbolic gesture against that particular cult or whatever you call it.
And the people that busted into his flat while he's doing a TikTok video and often were making a symbolic gesture as well.
That's not quite. It's not quite the same, Ed.
Well, no, but
me offending you doesn't give you the right to come and do me in on my live stream.
It absolutely doesn't. But that doesn't mean to say that you doing a particular thing can piss a particular group of people off to the extent that one of them wants to do horrific things to you.
Oh, I'm pretty sure people want to do horrific things to me because I piss people off on a daily basis on Twitter. In fact, yesterday I think it was the Mexicans. So yeah, I mean, the Colombians really got really upset because I get pulled up for spelling their country name wrong. Okay. So I then spent the whole rest of the day spelling it with a U instead of a second O.
We're so going to end up with a situation one day where we're just
a cartel member
doing a rabbit hole, and some Colombian cartel member bursts into John's studio and carts him off, and I'm just sitting there thinking, what the fuck?
Yeah, can I just say for the record that I really like the Colombians, and I make a point of never spelling the name wrong. Yeah. Hey, you know what? There's good and bad in every group, okay? But to get so upset about spelling their name wrong, especially once I started putting brackets, SIC close bracket on after, but. The beauty is it really pointed out the people who are, and for want of a better word, shall I just say thick? Because they had no idea what that meant. Sorry? I mean, you just like being an aggravating bastard. I do. I have to commit that. Yeah, so this week I have been particularly winding up Colombians, Mexicans, Spaniards, strangely enough. I don't know why I picked on Spaniards, but just briefly. I think people like you need your own category of tick. We have the gold ticks, which are the corporates. We have the blue ticks, which you pay for. We have the grey ticks, which are the government wombats. We need to have a red tick for the angry bastards that like winding everybody up. The Scottish. The angry Scottishman. Angry Scotsman. Oh dear. Right, what's the next slide? Right, well, strangely enough, we go to Scotland. In which case, so these ScotRail fares are going up by another 4%. Now they've just gone up by 6%, I believe, in October. So they've now gone up. They've now gone up again. And who runs ScotRail? The SNP. It's a nationalised service. Pardon me. So they've cut the services. Their trains are now in the region of 40% late, right? So their compensation payouts to people who have been late as a result of their train being slow are through the roof, and they're putting the fares up, obviously, to pay for that. The SNP cannot run fucking anything. They are the most incompetent government ever. You think Westminster's bad? You should try living in Scotland. We get taxed more than you guys do, and we get less services. Well, it's a fucking nightmare. The way that ratioed Rachel is going, will probably outstrip you soon enough. Oh, and now all the nationalists in Scotland are moaning about Heathrow getting a third runway, right? And all the investment going into Silicon, whatever they want to call it, Valley or whatever, and I don't know where it is, Thames Valley or whatever, they were going on about this, which is all done by private companies, let's face it, and has absolutely fuck all to do with us, because they've never heard of devolution, and they moan about things like, you know, investment and taxation, and yet that's all controlled completely separately by the SNP. Fucking ridiculous. I thought Wales had dropped to 20 mile an hour, and we're now having to spend billions to put the signs back to 30.
The simple fact of the matter is that when I go over to Holland to see my mum,
yeah,
and I can get a first class train ticket from Amsterdam to where my mum lives, which is, I mean, it's about nearly 2 hours on the train. It's not a short train journey. It's on an intercity,
right?
So it stops at. I mean, the train to my mum's, there's about 6 or 7 stops, and it's a long journey, and it costs less than the rail fare from Brighton to Gatwick. It's literally just ridiculous. I mean, the whole, and it's privatization again. I mean, it's the water companies, all of this nonsense about this government.
ScotRail's not privatized. ScotRail's run by the government.
Well, yeah. I don't know.
What do you make it? Mate?
I'm losing the will to live with
I know, and we've still got more than half the slides to go.
Oh, for fuck's sake, there better not be more fucking rail stories.
This is quite good, right? El Salvador went kind of... Do you remember when New York went, zero tolerance and crime rates plummeted because they started locking up... They started looking up...
makes me think of a ukulele, but...
Yeah, but... So New York went zero tolerance and crime rates plummeted, and El Salvador have done the same, and this is their murder rate per 100,000 inhabitants from 2015 to 2025.
Well, they arrested loads of gangs.
Yeah, exactly. They have locked
certain gang members. They literally just arrest all of them.
They have locked everybody up that was causing the problem, and it's a tiny percentage of the population, but what a difference it makes in deaths.
But when you actually think about this from every country's perspective, and you look at just the ordinary people that you meet, everybody pretty much, apart from a very small percentage of the population at the top and the bottom, there's a very small percentage of rich arseholes and a very small percentage of the poor gangster type people that are fucking it up for the rest of us. Actually, if we locked up a very small proportion of the population at the top and the bottom,
make a massive difference.
Literally, you could change things almost overnight, as they've seen. I mean, that's going from 2015, 106,000 homicides, 106 homicides per 100,000 to less than 1.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you run a country. That's literally, you want lessons in how to run a country, that's how you run a country.
That's it. You're right. And we're nearly halfway through the slide, so I'm going to take this opportunity to pause briefly and tell you about today's disaster. I call it a disaster because that's what's happening with this fucking car. So the car went for its MOT today and it failed, right? Now, the exhaust apparently is blowing. I thought it might be starting to, so fair point. I can take that. The rear fog light bulb isn't working anymore. Okay, I can take that. It needs 2 fucking new front struts. I just put a whole new front end on this before December. I spent over 200 quid on parts.
You know, cars are money pits, right?
Yeah, apart from the fucking two struts, which looked fine before December, and now they're apparently leaking oil. So
have you seen the state of our fucking roads?
You would. We're going down to the MOT, and my wife is driving the car, and we went through this fucking pothole, and I think that might have blown the second strut because it went bang, and I went, what the fuck? And she goes, that was a big hole. And I goes, try and drive round the holes. She thinks she's still driving the fucking 4-track. It's not 4-track, Wild Track. Because we used to have a really nice fucking pickup truck when we had money, but we don't have money anymore. So, if you could, like, share, and subscribe. Evangelize this meagre channel. Try and get me some more ad revenue above the normal 12 pence. And if you can, consider a donation. And I know you did yesterday, Nectarita, so I'm not looking at you. And I know other people on here do donate. So don't you go start digging into your pockets. You do enough. Just anyone else who can spare any cash, fling some my way if you could. Because 2 new struts is going to cost me 150 quid apparently. I think I'm going to have to change them myself. I can't afford to get a mechanic to do it. Right, so that's that.
It's just, I mean, it's, and I was remiss earlier on making jokes about journeying John, and I apologise for that.
Oh, don't apologise to John and John. He's fine.
The thing is that all I was trying to say is that everybody is. I mean, I'm in a really lucky position myself.
Yeah,
I know lots of people who are struggling, yourself included. And it's the thing is that it's so unnecessary when you actually look at the damage that the government is doing to our own economy because of their own ridiculous ideologies.
Yeah.
And just general incompetence everywhere, just running the whole place into the ground. And good people like you, who should be like able to contribute to society more than you are financially. Mm-hmm. And it's just the whole thing's fucking mess. Let's move on to the slide because
yes, I will do. Ridiculous. And yes, I know what you mean, Joey. But thank you. Right, moving on. Where are we?
We should move to Wales, John.
Yeah, I know.
Wales would be nicer than Scotland. You never know.
I like Wales. I used to go down to Circus Maximus every year when I had the Harley. We used to go down to that. That was a cracking rally. Right. I can't remember what it was, but there used to be a steam train.
On here.
Oh, because this is joyous. This is joyous, mate. So apparently, staff are revolting after tampons were removed from men's bathrooms. So Zuckerberg, after being on Joe Rogan, has become renewed as an actual man. Right, his testicles have finally. His testicles have finally descended, right?
And see which way the wind's changed. And changed
yeah, I know. I'm trying to give him.
And his hair is ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, Zuckerberg's crackdown on woke policies has Meta employees fuming after tampons were pulled from the men's restrooms. In protest, workers are smuggling in their own tampons and circulating a petition. Right? Why? This is the part I don't get. What do men do with these things? Why?
Look, it's, to be honest, it's the whole thing is absurd because if you're a female transitioning to be a male and you need to use, and you're trying to be a man, you're not exactly going to go. I mean, you're going to take your own shit into work, mate? Because if you're trying to convince the other people that you work with that you're
stop, time out. You're just going to tie yourself up in knots here.
Why do you keep putting these fucking stories up?
Yeah, I know, but the question was rhetorical more than anything. You know, because there's no fucking sense. There is no sense.
Rhetorical questions after half a fucking bottle of wine. Fuck's sake, move on to the next slide.
A gynecologist in France has been suspended. Has been suspended from his clinic after refusing to treat a biological male who identified as a woman.
I thought we were going to move on.
Oh, we have. Dr. Victor Acharian was found guilty of transphobia. Oh, that sounds like something that should be in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, doesn't it? And has now been prohibited from practicing medicine for 5 months. This guy can't practice medicine for 5 months because he didn't practice medicine on someone whose sex wouldn't have allowed him to practice his medicine on. Is that right? Well, moving on. Let's move on. Robert F. Kennedy. No, he hasn't. He hasn't quite been confirmed. Right. I need to skip that. Oh, here we go. Do you remember the anti-vaxxer nurse who injected up to 8,600 elderly patients with salt water, i.e. saline, Why use the word saltwater when it was actually a saline solution, which is technically
because
a medical name for salt?
Like she did something dangerous.
Yeah, but it wasn't. I mean, saline's quite regularly used.
Salt water is this is one of the things that irritates me the most about the Daily Mail, is that they're supposed to be an English publication and they use just ridiculous Americanisms.
Yeah,
just irritating. Honestly.
So anyway, instead of COVID vaccine, walks free from court in January.
I want to know is how many of those 8,600 elderly patients wouldn't be around if she'd actually...
forget that. She didn't walk free from a court in January. She wasn't incarcerated, right? But she lost her nursing license, so she's lost her freaking ability to work.
So she walks free, but she still can't work.
Well, you're not walking free if you've been penalised, really. She's walked out of court. She isn't incarcerated, but she's been punished.
Honest,
she's been punished.
Working in McDonald's is probably a better job than working as a nurse in 2025, frankly.
I'm not going to comment on that. Anyway, let's be
forced to do shit like that, then.
Now, this is a cracker. Shameless squatter who moved into a pensioner's empty home, then won the legal right to keep it, has now sold the house for £540,000. You got to give the guy fucking kudos for that one.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say that if you are in a country where the laws are so fucking batshit crazy that something like this is even possible, then yeah, dive in there. I mean,
so speaking,
the whole thing's just absurd,
isn't
it? It's
absurd.
Theft. It's
You're
legalized
right.
Theft.
Yeah.
Effectively.
So speaking of absurd laws, what about where the fuck's the mouse gone? Right. A 25-year-old woman faces jail time now, and this has been updated. She got 12 months, I believe, right? After pleading guilty in the UK's first ever cyber farting case. She was accused of sending numerous videos of herself farting to her boyfriend's ex, causing distress and anxiety. Now, yes, okay. What kind of person videos themselves farting and then sends it to... Oh, why is she even doing this? I don't understand this. She's won. She's got the boyfriend. Why would you do that? I mean, let's be honest. It's not really cyber. It's not really because...
like a woman scorned, but she wasn't even scorned.
Exactly. So anyway, apart from the fact that it's been purported as a cyber farting case, it's really just a case of harassment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, to me, I personally think that the law should deal with people like that in pretty harsh terms, just to send a message that it's harassment. Being an arsehole is not acceptable. And if you're going to be a super massive arsehole that you cause someone loads of stress, then deal with the fucking consequences.
Yeah. So, Nectar,
just make sure you don't fart in your prison cell too much, because you probably not have a happy ending.
Oh, there's more fart jokes coming. You know, this is the fart episode. So anyway, Nectaridis comes up with a good point. I think he's talking about the last squatter thing, a year and a day, some kind of medieval law. If you stay in the place for a year and a day, effectively it becomes yours. I think that's what he's alluding to there. I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds that it could be plausible. I don't know.
Well, there's probably this is the problem with our legal system, is there's so much archaic bullshit that's still on the laws from 500 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. We need to have a whole clear up, burn all of it, and start again.
Well, you do, because, you know, it's still legal to shoot a Scotsman in York if he's wearing a kilt on a Sunday, as long as you use a bow and arrow. What?
So I'm guessing that Scotsmen avoid York on the Sunday.
Kilted Scotsmen avoid York on Sundays. Yes, definitely.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Let's move on.
I mean, there are some ridiculous laws. Like, America's got even better ones, but maybe we should have an episode on ridiculous laws because that could be quite funny.
It's not exactly rabbit holey, but yeah.
No, it doesn't need to be. It could be. It could even be a Friday night job. Right. So moving on. Where's the fucking mouse gone now?
You and your mouse, seriously.
I've got 3 screens. That's a problem.
Well, deal with it.
Right.
Enlarge your mouse cursor.
Jason Sands. Jason Sands needs a thorough mental examination, according to my daughter. So Jason Sands reports that he bumped into a blue alien wearing military uniform on an airbase in the US. I think the guy's lost it. I do need a producer, Brett, mate. You are right.
I saw this one, and this is just, it's not even a serious UFO story. I mean,
the guy's lost it.
People are just making shit up at this point.
They are.
It does a disservice. It's the whole boy who cried wolf story. If you fill the airwaves with too much of this kind of nonsense, it just overwhelms all, because there are genuine stories of unidentified things in the sky and weird shit going on. But if there's so much bullshit that you can't see the wood from the trees, you just give up.
I saw one today. It was a balloon drifting down over in fact, it looked like a hash field or something, because it was in Colombia. And I say Colombia deliberately because that's how they spelt it. They spelled it wrongly, right? So
you know that saying it's a hash field is like saying, referring to a wheat field as a field of bread.
Yes, okay, it's like a bread field. Anyway, so this balloon was drifting down over this plantation of plants, and it was so obviously a balloon because it would catch the light. It was a mylar balloon that had lost a lot of its helium and was just sort of skipping over the plants, right? And it was so obviously a fucking balloon. And these people are saying, "What is this? We filmed it from our house. It's got fancy reflecting lights and orbs around it." No, it's a fucking balloon. It's so obviously a balloon. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Okay, moving on.
It's incredible what people do, though. So apparently there's a vile neo-Nazi group in Scotland that is spreading a sick campaign of hate to Scotland's highest peak, Ben Nevis. Highest peak in, not just Scotland's highest peak, but also Britain's highest peak. So the 100-handle sticker exhorting white people to love your nation was stuck up inside a hut on the 4,411-foot peak. Can you imagine?
It was a white sticker doesn't mean to say they were talking about white people.
No, well, it's this 100 handles or whatever this is shocking. In a country that is only 95.5% white, to extort the majority of the population to love their nation is indeed a heinous crime.
Well,
this should be just struck down, and these people should all be executed.
Well, when you live in a country run by globalist toadies, whose ultimate aim is to get rid of the nation state, turn everyone into this weird mongrel race, and essentially just undermine all national boundaries, because you see it across Europe, you see it everywhere.
Yeah,
there's a determined effort by these young global leader WEF wankers to undermine sovereignty, and it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what country it is, whether it's France or Britain or Denmark or wherever. You see the same insidious bullshit everywhere, where people are being that you are a far-right neo-Nazi extremist if you like your country and want it to kind of stay the way it is instead of turning into some melting pot hellhole.
Yeah.
And
Moving
ultimately,
on.
well,
Sorry.
I mean, just going to say quickly, you only have to look around Europe right now to see how well folks are integrating.
Oh yeah. I mean, Sweden's a prime example. I mean, it's looking really good.
But America, I mean, the thing is that we still have America is supposed to be the global melting pot, and they've been around for 200 plus years now. But Americans still identify themselves as Italian Americans or African Americans or German Americans or whatever. They still haven't, even 3 generations away from the original motherland.
Yeah.
They still identify with that group, Irish Americans, for example. And there's nothing wrong with that. But this whole notion that you can create this kumbaya integrated society is fucking nonsense.
Yeah, it is nonsense,
Anyway,
mate.
Moving on.
Right, hold on a second. I'm just checking something because Britmate's thrown me a curve here. He said there's 87% people white in Scotland. That sounds remarkably low.
Was he asking Grok?
I don't know. I don't like Grok.
Uh-oh. Hang on.
The problem with Grok is it's always out of date. What the fuck is wrong with that?
Well, that's because of the training data. If you want Grok to give you, this is the problem with, this is one of the big, certainly when it comes to looking for information, one of the big problems with AI systems is that their base training data is usually at least 6 to 8 months out of date. And they don't all, I mean, Grok, you can give Grok a URL and it'll go there and it'll download the page. But you actually have to give the AI systems up-to-date input.
Yeah, it's worse than I thought. Right, it's what I've got the results. It's worse than I thought. Okay, it's 92.9% white. That's it's getting bad. Fuck it, why have we got so many fucking Polish in Scotland? I don't understand this.
Just let's move on before we start insulting the Polish people as well. Look, we've already
1.6% of the population is Polish. Fuck off.
Well, can we? Stop. Move on.
I'm moving on. So this chap got a brand new passport, and they made a couple of errors here, right? They've made a couple of errors in their explanation. Okay, so I've just got a brand new passport, and they changed they didn't change the gender on your passport, my dear, because passports don't show gender, do they? Passports have a field that's called sex, right? So passports don't determine gender. Passports use the biological definition sex, which is either going to be male or female.
Determined by one's chromosomes.
Exactly. Written in, as they would say, it's literally in your DNA.
So, yeah. Dude looks like a lady.
Dude looks like a lady.
Oh, yeah, you're upset. You're obsessed with these with the transsexuals this evening, John. I'm
not. It's just what's come up this week. I can't.
No, there's been 101 things come up this week because I've got a whole bunch of shit for us to cover once we actually finally get through the slides.
This was. Have I not copied any of your stuff yet?
No, because I haven't sent it to you because it was all my bookmarks.
Right. So, that wasn't a British format, John. That's an American format. So. There you go. Anyway, where was I? This guy is under investigation by Texas law enforcement for baby endangerment, child endangerment, right? Because that's his baby he's holding there.
Oh, this is the one using his baby to clean his
right, yeah, and I'm not going to show the video because one, it's probably going to get me hit for copyright, and two, probably get the channel banned for showing child abuse or something. It could well be a doll. I don't know. But the whole thing is freaking ridiculous. Even if it was a child, so what? He didn't do any harm to the child, did he?
No, apart from the poor child having to grow up for the rest of its life with a video of its father using it to clear snow off a bloody car. I mean, maybe it can make some money off it in later life.
I sent my child under the floorboards once to run a cable for me because I couldn't.
I mean, what I want to know is how come, is this, to be honest, is this guy married? And if so, is he still alive? Because if his wife ever sees this video, she's probably going to take
my
a
wife would
baseball
laugh
bat to his face.
My wife would laugh if I did that with the child. But anyway, we better move on before we get into bother. Right. People in China thought it was okay to call me fat to my face. Well, the problem is, my dear, you are fat, right? So this is, Chinese people are going to call you fat because being fat in China is actually, contrary to what you might think, quite rare, right? And
It used to be rare in the United States.
well, it did. But if you're fat in China, people will point and stare, you know? If you're fat, you really don't want to go to China. One, they don't like black people, and two, they don't like fat people.
Well, ultimately, being overweight is not healthy, and maybe if there was a little bit more of that in the West, we would have less overweight people.
Fat shaming?
Well,
No, you're 100% right. As a fatty, right? As a fatty, I should be fat shamed because it would help me to lose weight.
I'm
Fat
not
shame
going
me.
to fat shame you because
Fat shame me.
Well, the thing is, it's also cultural.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go to a foreign country and then start complaining about. These people just
You're
want
right.
something to complain about.
You're right, because this is, and I had this conversation with my wife, and I thought you can't go to a foreign country and expect people to treat you the way that your culture treats you in your own country.
Exactly.
And that is, you know, she goes, "Look, that's just rude," and I goes, "Well, yeah, in your culture it's rude, but in China it's not."
Well, this is exactly the thing, and to go to another country and expect it to be exactly like your country,
yeah,
and expect to be treated in exactly the same way, it is just nonsense. I mean, boy meets world, or girl meets world in this case.
yeah,
Hello.
yeah, absolutely.
And ultimately, other countries work differently. The Chinese are perfectly entitled to run their society however the hell they want, and they have their own culture, and every country is the same. And it's true of whether you go to China or Africa or South America or India or wherever. It's just, I mean, if you go to India, it's like people pooing openly, like just.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, obviously she didn't make it to India because she probably would have been pretty grossed out.
Yeah, open defecation, I think that's what they call it.
It's just, it's mainly it's intolerance and people in the West being completely coddled, and this whole notion that everything's okay. It's just like, fuck off. Anyway, let's move on.
Right, let's moving on because we've got a lot to go through. So, right, these aren't. I haven't ordered these properly, but it doesn't matter. Do you remember this? How is the human race ever going to make it? Do you remember this? This was a baptism.
We've already discussed this.
Yeah, this was a baptism. Just burn that image into your mind, people, and think, the next time you go and try and do something really stupid, just remember that. That's the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever seen. I'm not even going to mention this one, but I thought it was quite funny.
One of the ones for me with the whole COVID period was a picture of this children's orchestra, and they all have little cut-out bits.
Oh, yeah, I know. Cut right so they can play the wind instruments.
Fuck off.
Right, deputies with the Los Angeles Sheriff Department find a 100-year-old woman, right, left behind after her assisted living home, i.e. old folks home, evacuated without her during the Los Angeles fires. This woman was wandering around the corridors looking for a way out when these deputies came. This is a video as well. These deputies came in and found her. Thank God.
Yeah, no, thankfully the woman survived. But Hollywood movies are such a lie. And the fact that this happened in Hollywood, it's just, when I saw this story, I was just like, yeah, all those Hollywood movies of all the old disaster movies where you have little old ladies or whatever, disabled children in a hospital and they can't get moved. And then right at the last minute, the ambulance turns up. And it's just, but this is just how utterly lost society is.
Yeah. Imagine leaving a 100-year-old woman in their fucking room. That was ridiculous.
Well, yeah. This is why we call it Clown World.
Yeah, indeed. Right. That was a video on a plane.
God, yeah. Sorry tonight, guys, because it's transsexuals and fart jokes.
You know, Jesus, it's bad when the Indian guy is yelling, "Whoever is farting, please do not fart. It smells bad."
And you know what's even more hilarious is how because there's been all these stories about air crews getting sick because of fume bleed off into the cabin crew. And one of the things that airline companies say is the entire air in the cabin is refreshed every 60 seconds or some nonsense like that.
Yeah,
so how does that work with farts? Because surely if the air in the aircraft was being refreshed at the rate that they say it's being refreshed, you wouldn't be dying of fart juice.
It's not refreshed as quickly as they say it is.
No.
Nothing ever is. Do you remember Amazon? Do you remember Amazon's unmanned stores where you could walk in, pick something up, and it would automatically be detected by AI and then billed to your account? Well, it never did because it wasn't AI. So the stores that they claim were managed by AI were actually run by thousands of low-paid workers in India watching people on cameras and tagging the items that they took. So when someone picked up an item, they'd tag it and put it in their basket.
You couldn't make it up.
You cannot. Mechanical Turk. This is what Amazon leverages a Mechanical Turk, doesn't it?
Well, the thing is that we use AWS services at work.
Yeah.
And to me, AWS is just, I've long had this view that Jeff Bezos has a special Jeff-only app on his phone that is directly tied into because AWS's APIs cover everything. So he's had a special little app built which actually tracks all of the money that AWS make per second. And it just literally just clocks up because AWS, because if you think about Netflix, Netflix runs entirely on AWS. I mean, they run a huge number of these sorts of services, and the amount of money that they must be making is absolutely off the scale, which makes you understand why they can do stupid bullshit like this and pay thousands of Indian workers to make it seem like they've got an AI shop.
I know, and they don't. Right, moving on. Storm Ewan, that windmill did well, or Storm Eowyn, or whatever it was called.
So, in addition to having to pay for the bloody thing to be shut down because there was a storm, it's now blown over, and we have to pay for the bloody thing to be replaced.
Yeah.
Just move on, or I'm going to start shouting and swearing.
This was impressive. Did you see this one? The major fire at the Mount Holland
this is
lithium mine.
Like you said to me, they're never putting that out.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck putting that out. That's
in 500 years, it'll still be like they'll be assuming that humans still survive.
Listen.
Maybe it'd be fun if it survived the next great cataclysm.
Yeah, it would be cool.
And then
Still
in
burning.
500 years, well, no, in 500 years, you'd have people wondering why this is fucking lithium mine on fire and nobody can explain
It's
it.
like, why, the Great Fire Pit in Australia.
And,
and
the other thing you have to wonder is how much carbon dioxide that thing is spewing.
Shocking. Well, it's not just that. The amount of toxic gases as well is going to be horrific.
It's like greed.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah.
Next.
Right. So, large-scale nuclear training exercise to take place in Schenectady, New York. The public need not be alarmed. From January the 26th, a large-scale multi-agency nuclear incident training exercise will take place in the vicinity of Schenectady, New York, and surrounding counties of Albany, Saratoga, and Schenectady.
That is one of those weird American names. Where is that from?
I have no idea. I don't care. The training exercise.
I mean, the SCH is.
Okay. Shh. The training exercise will not pose any risk to area residents. The public does not need to be alarmed by training-related activity, including the presence of military personnel, aircraft, and people in protective equipment. This sounds interesting, doesn't it? So we'll see what happens in 6 months' time. There'll be some other event that comes off. This guy I thought was a cracker. Now he is lying there totally immobilized because he did a head dive onto that trampoline, which he didn't realize was upside down. Smart.
Darwin Award.
I'd like to show you my new venture that I'm thinking.
This is just as a little segue from that trampoline story.
Uh-huh.
One of the problems that we've got is too much health and safety, because clearly this is a person that doesn't think through his life choices.
Yep.
And actually maybe a concussion might have helped him.
Yeah, you're right. Whoa.
So if they roped off the trampoline as a health and safety violation, he wouldn't have improved his life choices.
Yeah, that's true.
Or
have you got stuff
from the gene pool?
Right. Have you got stuff that you want to show me? Because
yes, because you've missed a couple. No, you've missed a few. I'm going to share my screen. Let me just get myself set up on this end.
He's about to share his screen. People, stand by.
Okay, right, sharing screen now. Oh, what fucking button is it? There we go. Right.
I'm waiting. So now Ed needs a producer.
Okay.
Oh no, I've got that one. So skip that one.
Did you get that one?
Yeah, I've got that. What's that one? I've got that one. Skip that one. Skip that one. That's the last slide I'm going to be showing. They can't see this yet. Right.
This was a new one.
What's that? Is that Trump?
Yeah.
Right, I don't have that.
This is just this one. This was just before we came on air.
Right, hold on a second.
And President Trump has. Are you seeing? Are they seeing my screen?
Wait a minute.
Screen?
Just a minute.
I feel like I'm being censored here.
No, just a minute. Here we go. There we go. Right. So they're seeing the screen now.
Oh, great. So we've got President Trump just banned John Bolton, John Brennan, 47 other former intelligence officials from entering US government facilities due to national security concerns. So he's already taken away their security clearances like a week ago. And particularly in the case of John Bolton, he's removed his security detail. I think Brennan lost his security detail as well. And now he's just banned them from entering federal buildings, which, when you stop and think about it, means that even if they have to do something, I don't know, because federal buildings, surely that's also driving licenses and taxes and all this kind of thing. So how's that going to work for them? Anyway, they're dickheads, so absolutely, totally fine with that.
So right, maybe they just
really quickly. No, this next one.
Hold on. Maybe they just shouldn't have lied. They wouldn't have been in this position.
Lying, warmongering, crazy bastards. I think, to be honest, take away John Bolton's security clearance, and banning them from federal buildings is probably one of the best things that's happened to the United States in the last 20 years.
And just for people that aren't aware, these people that got all the security clearances revoked and are being persecuted by Trump are the ones who lied about the Hunter Biden laptop, aren't they?
Yes. And the Russiagate.
Yeah.
And an awful lot of the dirt that was thrown at Trump in his first term. And Brennan, he's just evil. I mean, he's former CIA. That guy is as deep state gets.
Right. Where are we? We're in Africa. What's happening here?
Yeah, no, well, the whole big story, there was a big hoo-ha about it earlier in the week, where because one of the things that Trump has done is he's created DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, which I'm following them on Twitter, and they're actually worth it because they're just doing a slash and burn operation in the federal government. It's really quite funny to watch. But one of the things that got completely confused including by DOGE themselves and President Trump, is the condoms to Gaza, because one of the programs that was cancelled was a $50 million plan to sell condoms to Gaza. And what nobody realized, because we're talking about Americans who just, don't even get me started on Americans in geography, honestly.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it turns out to be the Gaza province in Mozambique and not $50 million worth of condoms to Hamas, which is what President Trump was saying. So yeah.
This is like when you mentioned Georgia to an American and they confuse it with the state as opposed to the country.
Yeah. I mean that's why you have to say London, England.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'll start thinking you're talking about some place in America.
Or Manchester, England, as opposed to Manchester, New Hampshire, or whoever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of this one's not so much a funny, but I saw this one earlier in the week and I thought it was really interesting, that there's been a study that apparently there's a link between testosterone and men doing the right thing. That men acting in a way that they believe is right, as opposed to acting in a way that they feel everybody else wants them to act in. Ah,
right. So instead of following people, they do the right thing. So what's the balance?
Well, no. The whole point is that there's actually been a drop in male testosterone levels, particularly in the West,
right?
Over the last 20 or 30 years.
Yep.
And that might explain a few things.
So basically, as testosterone drops, men stop doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, here's a good one. Just pause that. This is the Russian. So in the UK, we have all of our nonsense. One of the big things that the Russians are talking about is they're trying to boost the birth rate because I mean, we really need to do that as well. But the government's not doing it anyway. So the Russian Ministry of Education has come up with this idea that they need to bring back school discos to boost the birth rate, because apparently bad lighting, awkward slow dances, and terrible music are the secret to fixing demographics.
I think they could be right. They could be right. Having lived through the 80s, I can testify that it works. It works.
I would suggest that they would have to have slow, awkward dances to 80s ballads.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, because I mean, I remember them myself.
If I said you had a beautiful,
then this is one of the big problems with society.
If I said you had a beautiful body, would you hold it against me, Dr. Hook?
Oh dear! No, but I mean there's some happy childhood memories right there. I think if kids in 2025 are not experiencing that, then we've got a serious problem.
Yeah, I think the Russians are onto something here. They really are.
The next one that I found was this one. Oh, that one. Yeah, properly. The USDA Inspector General. She did it. What's her name? Zurashvili, the Georgian president, who said she wasn't going to leave. And in this case, she said she wasn't going to leave, and they actually physically removed her by security. So, yeah, El Trumpo's not fucking around. But then if you actually consider that this is the United States Department of Agriculture, and the amount of crap that is in Americans, the food that Americans eat, the glyphosate and all of that. This woman deserves to be sacked and have her security clearances revoked and removed from federal buildings. And then
hold on. We've got something occurring in the chat. What do you mean you've been moderated? Unmitigated mind. Who's moderated you? What's happened?
God. We've got drama in the chat room.
Drama. Well, the unmitigated mind says he's been moderated. I have been moderated. I don't know. There is, apart from the moderators, you have to remember there is an extensive block list of banned YouTube words. Oh, he says not by us. So it's probably been the YouTube block list. That's what's done it. The YouTube algorithm has moderated them.
Oh, they're such wankers.
No. I mean, no. You need the block list, or you would get things. You get spammed by things like. You get spammed by things that, shall we say, shouldn't be used. Words that shouldn't be used.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Right. Go on.
Right. So yeah, that was that one. One story that you didn't pick up on, which was quite surprising, which is this thing in the Congo, because there's in the midst of all of the shit going on in the world.
Is this Rwanda invading the Congo?
Yeah,
right.
But they've basically picked up hundreds of European mercenaries.
Yeah, well, where else are they going to be fighting? They're either there or in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And they've probably found that they don't really want to fight in Ukraine because the Russians keep killing them.
Well, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
See, it's a different ballgame fighting against, what can we say? It's a different ballgame fighting against poorly trained, freedom fighters and, shall we say, less well employed African countries.
Different type of warfare. I mean, it's the only, to be honest, this whole colonial thing is the only kind of the low intensity colonial style warfare is the only thing that the West is capable of doing because of Iraq and Afghanistan. All of the places that European militaries and Western militaries have got experience involves fighting people who are substantially less well equipped than you are.
Yes.
And if you put these guys in front of a peer adversary,
that's
we
exactly
get
the point.
Ukraine,
yeah, exactly
and they
the
get
point.
Their asses kicked.
Yeah, exactly.
And this,
And this is why Americans aren't, but I think the people in the know in America are aghast at what's happened in Ukraine because they're like, holy shit. Yeah.
Well, I think any serious Western, let's say NATO military officer, I'm not talking about incompetent fools like Ben Hodges and idiots like that and Ramekin or whatever the British guy is. And people like that, basically, who are just armchair generals, effectively. But the serious military people must be looking at what is happening in Ukraine and what impact it's had on the Russian military. Because the Russians, I mean, there's plenty. If you go to the sources like RT and stuff, the Russians are not bashful about talking about what they're doing. I mean, they don't talk about everything, but there's interviews with engineering people, and the Russian mechanics and engineers are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, some of these guys are inventing things on the fly and coming up with defenses against drones and now
like
using
the cages over the tanks and all that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, they've now got drones running on 15-kilometer long fiber optic cables and all this kind of thing. And the West is still pissing around. I mean, I saw one of the things that passed over my radar in the week is that the Pentagon is still massively resistant to the little mini FPV drones, that they're totally hooked on these Reapers and these massively expensive drones that the Americans are using. And meanwhile, there's drone displays in China because of their New Year. There was one, I can't remember the name of the province, but it must have been thousands of tiny little like commercial drones, all synchronized, doing dragons in the sky.
Yeah.
And you just think, oh, yeah, that's really pretty when they've got lights on them. But you just put one little bomb on every single one of those drones, and suddenly you've got something that can take out a whole building.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And you put lights on it and bombs, and you have a dragon taking out a building. Anyway,
right, moving on.
Olga, I have to say, people on Twitter, Olga is she is the troll mistress. She literally is. I don't know who she is. She's one of the anon accounts, and she's very pro-Russian, but her sense of humor is just brilliant. And so this is a nutshell of one of the things that Donald Trump has done in this last week, which is to suspend all of the foreign aid funding, USAID, and all of this stuff. And it turns out that all of these independent, there's like Ukraine Independent, and all of these supposedly independent Ukrainian media organizations have all got no money left because the Americans cut it off. So tell me that all of your media is controlled by the US.
There you go.
Telling me.
There you go.
And now we're down onto the sub one, which we've done. What you got?
Right, is that you?
So that
you
was
done?
me done.
Cool.
Yep, I'll stop sharing.
Excellent. So we've only got a couple left to do. Just to finish off, and I was going to show people my new venture. I thought this one through, and I thought there could be a market for this.
Yeah, you're gonna just get that. It's like that woman that went to China.
Yeah,
would just no. Literally, she'd sue you. I mean, you're lucky you've only got a small Twitter account, or people would already be lining up to sue you.
Yeah, I know. But you know what, people? If you sue me, you ain't getting anything because I don't have any money. So sue away. See, the law only applies. The law only applies to people in the middle. If you've got loads of money, the law doesn't apply to you. If you have no money, the law doesn't apply to you. The law only really attacks those people in the middle. People like you, Ed.
Well, duh.
Yeah. Right. Moving on. Oh, where's the mouse gone now? For fuck's sake!
He can't even find his mouse.
There's this was a cracker, right? This was a crack, and this, and I'm going to mock Americans slightly here, right? Because American grasp of geography is appalling. So this guy, Shepherd of Truth, goes, "Why does Trump want Greenland? What is this thing?" Well, that's the seed bank, as Ed quite does point out. It's a seed bank in Svalbard, which isn't in Norway, but is a Norwegian territory, so it has nothing to do with Greenland and isn't in Greenland. So this is just stupidity. Stupidity epitomized, is it not?
I've seen a couple of these. Honestly, if you're American, if you're talking about American geography,
I love Americans.
Feel free. I love Americans.
No grasp of geography.
I was sitting in a bar in Clayton, Iowa once, and was talking to this old redneck guy that literally had a redneck and a red cap, and it was lovely cold beer, and he was very polite and very friendly. I'm not, but I told him that I was from Brighton in the UK, and he asked me how long it took to drive there from Clayton, Iowa. So
considerable time, sir. Considerable time.
Yeah, just let's not do geography.
Well, first of all, let's build a time machine and take us back to the land of Pangea.
Oh dear, I don't know. Maybe before the sea levels rose at the end of in the Younger Dryas, and then again 6,000 years ago. I mean, sea levels rose about 120 meters.
Yeah, but that's not going to get
was created. But
that's not going to get you across the Atlantic, mate.
No, I don't think so.
No, so you'd either have to go. I don't know what the depth is between Alaska and Yakutsk.
You would have to go all the way around the long way.
Yeah, the long
because
way
when
around.
when the bearing, because there is a point in the past when the Bering, what's now the Bering Strait, was dry, and you could actually walk from what is now Alaska to what is now Kamchatka.
Russia. Yeah, so you'd then be driving right across all 11 time zones of Russia.
Pretty much.
Before you got to Europe.
Well, if you're talking Clayton, Iowa, it's actually more than that, because Russia's 11 time zones. And there's probably 4 or 5 time zones between Clayton, Iowa and Alaska.
Yeah. And then all of Europe, and then across you could probably take a shortcut across Doggerland, because that'd be dry.
You could do that. So you could probably drive it, but it would be you're literally 23 time zones.
Yeah.
Unless it was dry, but there was bits dry between Greenland and Iceland, but where Iceland is pretty deep. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. I've only got one slide left. Oh,
this is the best one of the lot.
Yeah, is it? Here you go.
I honestly, I want whoever the White House website people are, because I'm a web developer myself, and this because the 404 is the standard page not found. There's when you have the thing is
message is tremendous.
Whenever you access a website and you get the website, that's a 200.
Yeah.
And if you get a 404, that's page not found. A 500 is a server error.
Yeah, but
a 301 is a page
okay. You're boring people now. That's
just explaining a few things.
Freaking tremendous. Tremendous.
It's brilliant. What I want to know about this page is who had sign off on this change, because it must have done.
Trump must have signed that off.
Because one of the I'm pretty sure El Trumpo didn't have the idea, but probably someone in his web development team that had a brilliant sense of humor and really needs to be promoted. And I'd love to get them on the show so we could just have a chat with them about how the idea came to them. But it's like, but can you imagine that memo? It's like we want to change Kamala's 404 page to say this page has been is unburdened by what has been. What do you guys think? And I bet the entire team, from the web developers' immediate superior all the way up to Trump, was just like, fucking genius, do it.
Fucking do it.
It's brilliant. I love it.
I do too.
But the only problem is that we don't have a picture of Kamala's face when she saw it.
Oh, would that not have been an absolute joy?
But has anyone seen her? Or has she just disappeared into a bottle?
I don't know if anyone's actually seen her, but no, she did appear briefly, I think. Yes, I have seen her since the actual, not since the inauguration, but I've seen her since the election. But there's not much.
Imagine having that legacy, because she's obviously ambitious and stuff, and she got to be the first female vice president of the United States, and everybody is laughing at her. And literally, her successors have mocked her openly on her own website.
Yeah,
that's got to sting. But she was bloody useless, so she deserves it.
She was thick as a pan of mince. She really was.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had 4 years of some of the worst government in the US. I mean, it's just shocking how bad the US government has been over the last 4 years.
And when you're doing a campaign where you've been the vice president, right, you can't campaign on things that you're going to change that you could have actually have done while you were the vice president. You know what I mean? People are just going to go,
exactly.
You could have done that in the last 4 years, but you haven't. You
know, precisely, and also just not even really being able to string a proper sentence together. Because what the whole point of why this page is so funny is because she actually said that. We have to be unburdened by what has been.
Let's be honest, mate. Let's be honest. She didn't just say it. It was her mantra. She said that at every possible opportunity. In fact, I think I've got a short or a video of her saying nothing but that for over a minute. You know, she's her and her husband are splitting up apparently. So the unmitigated mind says her husband talking about her putting her head down and getting to work didn't help. Well, that's a point, but I think they're splitting up now.
I don't know. I mean, who would marry her in the first place? And who would want to be married to someone who married that in the first place?
It's a bit like Sturgeon and her beard, you know.
It's and a lot of these people, exactly. And the thing that you come to realize when you start delving down the rabbit holes is how many of these relationships are completely fake convenience things. And I suspect that the dear leader and his partner are there's weird shit going on there.
They're separated.
I mean, it's like Gordon Brown.
Oh,
I mean,
right, sorry.
He didn't meet Sarah Brown until just before he became Prime Minister.
Well, yeah, because you need a wife to become Prime Minister.
Mark Rutte, the new Secretary General of NATO, former Dutch Prime Minister, lived with his mum.
Yeah. And he's in her basement, apparently.
And that's
anyway. But, yeah, so, I mean, I don't care. Right, you know me, I don't care. So apparently Starmer is separated from his wife, so it's just a marriage of convenience now. He's getting bummed by Lord Ali, and he has a fucking love child to another woman.
And I'm totally disavowing everything that he says. So anyone wanting to send anyone like lawyers for anyone, just send them to John.
Please. But I don't think English shipping injunctions apply in Scotland.
I think you are perfectly entitled to your own opinion, and I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, because Scottish papers have burst things before on English super injunctions, but I don't know why no one's letting this one out. Because if anyone's going to do it, it's normally Europe. Europe love to bust this kind of stuff, and why they're not doing it?
Well, this is the thing.
I know why they're not. No, I know why they're not doing it, because Starmer is a freaking lefty, and Europe love lefties.
Well, he's basically making noises about wanting to shackle us back up to Ursula's yoke, and I'm just, the thing about this government is that there's if you look at Southport, if you look at the whole Lord Ali thing, they have so many skeletons in their closets, and the fact that they're on the side of the media elite, pretty much, certainly in the UK, means they get away with stuff where they're just not being properly investigated. I mean, Miliband was referred to the Prime Minister's standards people because of rubber stamping this absurdly ridiculous, stupid solar farm that's massive, being built on prime farmland. And that creepy Dale Vince walking, talking midlife crisis person who dresses like a 14-year-old schoolgirl.
What is that? Why does he dress like that?
I mean, it just creeps me out. Honestly, he really creeps me out. And he's making loads of money. It's like every single time the windmills that he owns have to get shut down because of high winds, he gets paid for it. Yeah. And the whole thing is a massive grift.
He's lost a fortune in money though. He's lost a stat. He lost over £12 million or something. Because
that's good news.
I can't remember exactly the circumstances, but he has lost an awful lot of money recently. Hi, Fluffy. Yes, I have had a haircut. I hope you like it.
I mean, the thing is that he owns a fake meat vegan company.
Yeah.
And he's lobbying the government to try and make all schools go vegan. So in addition to filling their minds with crap, they want to fill their bodies with crap as well. I mean,
kids need proper protein in order to grow.
But Miliband
That's
is
crazy.
bloody dangerous. Literally,
Miliband.
Ed Miliband is one of the. I mean,
Miliband needs to go.
Refer to myself as Edward. Honestly, I might have to change my Twitter thing to Edward because
Miliband needs to go. Miliband needs to go. He needs to go.
In the bin.
Although, you see, the thing is, he's always maintained he would resign if the third runway at Heathrow goes ahead, and apparently it looks like it is going to go ahead because Reeves is going to push it through. Although I don't understand why she can push that through and not push through some action. Hold on,
because he said he was going to resign.
Yeah, but
so maybe they're actually.
Yeah, but hold on.
Get rid of
hold on,
crazy guy.
Why can she push that through and not push through actual controls on the fucking Bank of England, which would stop them running riot over the economy and driving us into a recession, which is effectively what's going to happen sooner rather than later?
Well, I would suggest respectfully that the Bank of England is quite possibly the largest problem that the United Kingdom has got.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, the entire money supply thing is the big problem. If you sort out the money supply, and you do something that involves not having debt-based money, you could sort out every single other problem. Not quite overnight, but you get it done.
Yeah. You could, but such is life.
We'd have to do what Putin did and kick the... Essentially, they didn't quite nationalize... Well, they pretty much did nationalize the Russian bank, but Yulia Nabiullina, who's the head of the Russian central bank...
Yeah, that's easy for you to say.
I know, I've been practicing. But it's a name I hear quite frequently because she's an absolute demon running a central bank.
I was watching something today, and this is completely unrelated, and I'm sorry, but I was watching something today, and it was someone talking about do you remember the small hominid known as the Hobbit person that they found in that cave in Indonesia, Homo floresiensis, right? And this woman kept saying Homo floresiensis. And it's like, my wife and I are like, if this was a drinking game, we would be fucking slaughtered before this video is finished. Because she must have said Homo floresiensis about 60 times. I'm sorry, it was just absolutely ridiculous the amount of times she said it. Sorry.
But being Scottish makes it hard to pronounce a lot of things in an intelligible fashion.
Indeed, my man, indeed it does. I didn't do a proper Burns night this year since we didn't fall on it, but I did put that thing up, which I thought, the reply to the Keith was good.
Well, you completed my Burns night. I didn't want to pressure you, but I've decided that Burns night is not complete without Sgt Grumpy doing his thing. No, because of the thing is that as an Englishman, you can read Burns's poetry, and it's fucking gibberish.
Oh yeah, it is.
But when you listen to it being read by a Glaswegian with a thick Scottish accent, well, no, because you don't. I mean, an American would think your accent's really thick, but when you do
you have to put it on
video, you put it on.
Yeah.
But Burns read in that thick Scottish accent. That's how it's supposed to be enjoyed. It's like having your whiskey with a little bit of water and drinking it neat.
Yeah.
It's similar sort of thing, and it's perfect. That's what Burns Night is all about.
Cool. So there we go. Anything else we should cover tonight, or are we pretty much done?
I think, to be honest, the only stuff that I had in my list that you didn't cover was the stuff we went over. And I mean, we've done 2 hours. So.
Yeah, I think we've had a good night. I've enjoyed this.
It's been fun.
It's been
really good.
It's been good. It's been a bit. It's not been quite as intense tonight as it sometimes is, because let's face it, the world's fucking nuts.
It's just so nuts.
It really
And I
is.
mean, and the thing is that we're not making any of this shit up.
No.
Literally,
this is the news.
you couldn't. And I mean, okay, we've done January, so now we have to see what February is going to hold in store for us.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I will say about having Donald Trump as US president is at least it's more fun now.
Oh yeah,
Biden was so grim.
Yeah,
He's creepy and weird and grim and just incompetent. And
I have my worries.
And also, I like the fact that we're back to the cute blonde White House press secretaries as well.
Yeah,
makes a big improvement.
I'm not sure I like her accent, but I'm finding it hard to get over Kaylee. I really liked Kaylee. But she's moved
got
on.
Her own show.
Yeah, I know, but I can't watch stuff like that. I've got too little time to do stuff like that. But I no doubt she'll grow on me.
I don't really listen to it that much. It's mainly just because it comes across because we used to have that Karine Jean-Pierre.
Oh,
who's just this incompetent little weirdo.
Karine Jean-Pierre.
And not particularly pleasant to look at. And now we have someone that's a bit more pleasant to look at. Just makes the whole thing a bit more fun.
Yeah. So, yes, I will talk about calls at some point for Effie Columbus. But apart from that, it's been great for you.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? Sometimes you need to let loose, grab juice, get goose, tattoos, taboos, get screwed. Loosen up, buttercup, all those hate comments will never make you feel enough. We're all adequate graduates, heart full of calluses, but we know calculus. Damn, ain't that fabulous? Can't wait to apply all those mathematicus. But we can't get a job that pays us enough. I'm about to pop off. Fuck you, you're lost. We all know that we never really want a boss. So I'ma do what I want to, something I can't undo. Yeah, I'ma do what I want to, something I can't undo. I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots.